Well, we're getting off to a start to a new year. I appreciate everybody coming. I always appreciate what y'all do for us and the support that you give us. We are excited about this upcoming year. Guys reported yesterday, and we hadn't been on the field with them with a practice yet. We've been through a walkthrough, so we still have some things to do as far as preparation and whatnot. But we're excited about going on the field today. I think it's guys have worked hard all summer. I know everything this summer is voluntary and not mandatory, but listening to Coach Martin and really listening to each other. I'm talking about the players. I think they've got a lot accomplished this summer, and it was very good. I think we've got a chance to do some things that would make us all proud. I think we've got a situation where offensively we've got a lot of experience, and we got an offensive line that all of the guys have played. Plus we got a couple of extra guys backups that have played. Brian Ellis is back, our quarterback. Everybody knows what Brian did last year, and did a lot of good things. The obvious thing that he's got to work on is, reduce the amount of interceptions that he throws. We've talked to Brian about that, and I know he's worked hard on it. And Brian's the kind of young man that you can tell him something once, and he's going to pretty much do what you ask him to do, or do his damnedest to try to get it done. So he's a great guy and really one of the best leaders, probably the best leader on this football team, which I think is very important. But then we got Pat at running back. I think Pat is a guy that brings a lot of juice to our football team offensively. We're able to do a lot of things with him, not only running the football, but throwing screens and throwing the ball to him out of the backfield, and really even lining him up at wide out. But Pat is a guy that can do some things. I like our core of receivers. I think we got I don't know that we've got what I'd call a great one, but I think we got 6, 7, maybe even 8 guys that we can line up and play and win with. So I'm excited about the depth that we have there. I am concerned about the tight end spot offensively. Don't really know who that would be at this time. We went through spring practice with Sam Accurcio, Bud Pruitt, and Jordan Longoria. We have got a freshman in named Kennard Backman. I'm excited about him being on campus and watching him. We also have moved temporarily Cody Payne to tight end. I say temporary as an experiment. We're going to see how that goes. We moved him there and see if he can do some things to help us at tight end. Moving to defense, I think we've again, I expect us to be a much improved defensive football team for several reasons. Number one, I think we got the best personnel we've ever had. I think we've got a good group of guys at linebacker and in secondary that I feel good about. We've got a number of guys at safety that I think can play. We got a number of guys at corner I think we can play. Same thing at the linebacker spot. Again, it's kind of like our receivers. I don't know that I'd say we got a great player at any of those spots, but I think we got some guys that we can line up and play and win with. Elliot Hennigan is our best defensive lineman by far. Who will play with him up front, I'm not sure at this point. We've got several JC guys in that have come in. We've got a high school guy, a young man named Mickey Jackson. I'm excited about watching him. The defensive ends, the guys that are returning from last year be Connor Boyette, Chris Walton, but we did bring in 3 or 4 freshmen that we're going to look at, and hopefully we'll come out of camp, with some kind of idea of feeling that we can play too deep. That's a big key, I think, for us defensively, is to be able to play too deep up front at linebacker and the defensive line, to where we can have guys chasing the ball, running to the ball, and playing hard every down. We've not had that luxury in the past, but I do think we'll be able to do that. Very concerned about the kicking game. Obviously, we I think got a good situation with Trey Ragland coming back as our punter. And the only phase of our kicking game last year that I think was up to par was our punt team, and Trey had a good year and did a nice job for us. We brought 2 freshmen in, Colin Anderson and Ty Long, that will compete for the kickoff and field goal extra point spot. And how it works out, I don't know. We'll go on the field this afternoon. We'll start the competition. We'll chart everything they do and try to put them in as much a game-like situations as we can. And but we do have to come out of camp with somewhat of a feeling of what we can do there. Obviously, going through what we went through last year with tough on everybody, and we certainly need to avoid that if we can this year. But all in all, we're very excited. I think we got a lot of work to do, but I think we'll have a football team that we can compete with anybody we play. At the same time, I don't think we're that much. I don't think we're better than anybody. So that's the kind of football team that we are, and which probably will mean that we'll hopefully have a lot of close ball games, and they'll all go our way. But time will tell. I think that when I took out of last year, we were competitive in every game except Central Florida. I think we're from the Tennessee to the Mississippi State to the every game we were in, we had a chance, except for Central Florida, and we came out and shot ourselves in the foot early on offense and in the kicking game, and really didn't give ourselves an opportunity to win. But obviously we need to win those games instead of just coming close. So again, I think our guys learned a lot. They learned, like I think what I just said earlier, that we can compete with anybody. But there's a fine line sometimes between winning and losing, because we're not going to be a football team that you can say we're better than anybody. I should have mentioned Tommy earlier, and I think it's obvious that he's brought a lot to our football team, particularly defensively. I think I could go back and say I think we've got the best personnel defensively since we've been here. And Tommy, I think, has a way of identifying with the guys and making it a little more simpler that they're excited about playing. I know I'm excited about watching them go out there and practice this afternoon. Tommy's obviously got a great reputation in football around this part of the country, particularly defensively, and all the things that he's done as a defensive coordinator at Memphis and even at Clemson as an assistant. I mean, he's got a tremendous resume from a defensive standpoint. The three biggest question marks for us, and like we talked about earlier, one's tight end, two's kicker, not particular order, and then three is a defensive line. I do feel like we'll come out of it with a good quality defensive line, but who they're going to be right now, I don't know. I think we got a lot of moving parts there with the tackles in the end, exactly who winds up where and different things. But those are the three areas that we've got to get shored up, before the first ball game, and hopefully we can get that done. Well, you're right. We're not going to be able to simulate going to Florida Field. I don't think that's going to happen. But at the same time, we are going to put pressure on them every way. Every day they go out there, they're going to compete with each other. We're going to have kicking drills where we go out there and during the early practice they're going to have to kick, and we're going to close some practices. We're going to have one kick to win the football game and see what happens. And so we're just going to do a lot of little things like that. I think one thing, and I've talked to them along with Coach Summers, who handles our kickers. I think the biggest thing we got to watch right now is not to overkick. Because we are anxious. We are, we want to, find out what we got. We are, we got to do the work. We do need to work at it. But at the same time, I don't want to get 10 days down the road and they done kick their leg out and have a pulled hamstring or a pulled groin or whatever it may be. So I think I've got to be patient. I've got to, we do need to do the work, but at the same time, do it kind of in a spaced repetition mode to where we don't just go out there and wear the legs out from day one. But we're going to play all kind of games and what-if deals and try to make it as competitive as we can.